Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Where Is My Heart. This is a game I have kind of a weird history with. I saw it in 2011 on a Giant Bomb Quick Look where Patrick Klepek was playing it, and I was like, hey, that game looks really cool. It looks like it would be totally up my alley. Sadly, it was a Vita, it was a Sony platform exclusive to some degree, and I didn't own any Sony platforms. So I was like, well, it'll come to PC eventually, and 3 years later, here we are, better late than never. This is a cute, minimalistic puzzle platformer. Wait, where are you going? I know there's a lot of these that come out, but this one has a gimmick that is less superficial than your average, and very mind-bending, and sincerely has, put my brain through its paces so far, as I've struggled to get through even the early levels that we've got so far. But it's got a cute kind of gameplay style, really nice visual and music style as well. It kind of puts you in an introspective mood, and without further ado, why don't we get started here? So I'm gonna go with Game Slot 0 here. It has multiple save files, which I actually always admire in a game, but I don't really know why I would need them here. As you can see, I've played through maybe 18 levels, or that's 15 levels so far. I'm not the greatest counter of all time. And I'll do my best to try to explain what's going on here. This game has a very unique kind of style when it comes to its visual presentation. It's got kind of like a GBA style, or GBA style, like visual style. I don't want to say style too many times here, but yeah, and in that I think the game looks gorgeous, like the clouds that go in the background are as lush as pixel graphics can be. And the character designs are cute as well, and you can watch them have some animations as well. But, I know people get, insulted almost by the amount of pixel graphics, or the frequency with which there's pixel graphics in indie games. I can take it or leave it. I think this looks pretty good, so I'm going to take it. How does the game work? Essentially, it's a puzzle platformer where you have to collect hearts. Oh, I'm an idiot. I just destroyed the reveal of that gimmick. But basically, you have to collect hearts. And collecting these hearts, these open basically the door that allows us to escape from the level. And then when we escape from the level and we beat the level, you want to collect as many hearts as you possibly can to, basically prove that you're not an idiot. Now, the thing that's interesting is that it is kind of non-linear despite being 2D. So even though it looks like this is kind of like one continuous comic book frame here, the game does a really good job with its visual clues of explaining why that's not true if you actually pay close attention. Watch, for example, when there's a cloud that comes through on the frame where my character currently is right now, my brownie frame here. Or watch a dragonfly as it goes by. You see, like, it doesn't fly the way you would normally expect it to fly because these panels are actually rearranged, and this is the gimmick style. Again, notice that the cloud goes through and skips that middle panel, as do we if we kind of inch over to it. So basically, you have to consistently wrap your brain around the fact that even though things look one way, they actually aren't that way. And even when you figure out the gimmick on each individual level, or the strategy on each individual level, it seriously is like, some kind of terrible optical illusion that just makes you question what reality actually is. And I find myself dying in such stupid ways because I just can't wrap my brain around it. Now, and that's a good thing, by the way. We can also, find switches. By interacting with those switches, we can influence the level in one way or another. This one will basically, like hitting those exclamation point switches in a game like Super Mario World. This one allows us to kind of fill in these bridges over here, but we have another bridge that we want to fill in as well. So this is like the other kind of central crux of the game here, is the ability to switch between characters. Each character has their own special ability, which we haven't seen yet, but you can stack one of them, or you can stack each of them on each other's heads, and as a result, you can see that now we've actually managed to fill in this level over here. So we will climb up, grab these hearts, and then get out. Oh, and that's another one where I always get tricked. So we lost a heart there, but that's okay. Let's wait for our character to come back to life here, and we'll come over the top. This is the first spot where I was like, oh, this game's tricky. Like, it messes with your perspective, because on this one, it actually is, like, it's linear, but some of the panels overlap. Like, for example, this final block here takes place in 2 frames simultaneously, so it makes you think that there's an extra jump at the end, depending on where you're focusing, when in reality there's not. So the game is very playful in that regard, and, it gives you, or it presents lots of opportunities to kind of play with your perceptions on how things normally work, and it's kind of preferable for me. Oh, I did it again, even though I just explained it. It's kind of preferable to me. Please tell me I can still get into the exit here. To have a game like this, even though I like physics-based platformers a lot, and or physics-based puzzlers, I guess I should say, a lot. You know, I've recently covered games like, you know, Out There Somewhere or Project Temporality that were a little bit more traditional. I like this because it is so mind-bending. So we're gonna mix this up a little bit here. I think on the next level, things start to get like vastly more and more difficult, and you should probably realize that pretty soon it's going to be difficult for me to actually explain what I'm doing. A lot of the levels that I've defeated, I seem to have defeated basically out of luck. So I'm going to just try to see where I can go here. I believe what I have to do is take my orange person, not to bring, you know, race into it, and I think I walked them like over here, and I have to hit that switch. You can see that switch over there on the top right panel. I just can't recall how to actually get over there. We gotta do some nifty platforming in one respect. Okay, well, let's start just by getting, you know, our cat person over here. Oh, can you actually hit this one? Oh, you can! Never mind, I'm actually just an idiot. Okay. So we want to get this, and then we need everybody to get over here, including, or perhaps especially, orange, because that switch, as you can see, is, you know, color locked to the orange character. So by hitting this, this will hopefully unlock this platform down here, which will actually allow me to escape into the exit. Wonderful. So the number of hearts you get, I've only had it really factor into like a high score type thing, where when you're on the hub screen, it's like, how many hearts out of a maximum did you possibly collect? Usually, you know, all of them, but sometimes I've been a little mistaken. And here's where they start to introduce kind of the secondary hook of the game, which is that each one of these characters has kind of their own unique alternate character as well. So let's platform everybody out over here into kind of the central panel here. This gimmick, or this special character is probably like the easiest one to actually get a grasp on. It will get more and more complex, especially the orange person's ability is crazy and seriously mind-bending. I know I've been using that a lot, but it's an adequate word to use here. So the way that you activate this power is basically whatever color the top bar is on the block, make sure that person is the person that's stacked up at the highest point. Now basically, antler person gets a double jump, and by using and abusing this double jump, I should be able to actually reach all of these hearts here. If you're not, you know, like directly following exactly everything that's happening right now, and like how I'm moving from platform to platform, you know, that makes two of us. My advice sincerely is just go with the flow. If you try too hard to kind of like get a grip on how things are going, occasionally that'll work out well for you on a puzzle, but mostly I just kind of like experiment for a while, and eventually after that experimentation, I come to some kind of reasonable, you know, explanation of how things actually work. So I think, let's look at Somewhere Over the Rainbow. This is where we get introduced to the orange character's special ability, and this is really where the game kind of comes into its own, I think, in terms of, like, maybe when I played through, like, the first few minutes, or probably the first 20 minutes of the game, I was like, oh, you know, this is cute, but I don't know, it doesn't really seem that, that different, right, or that novel, you know? And, then when I got this character, I was like, oh, this game is gonna intellectually ruin me. So we've created our, orange kind of analog here, this, weird, you know, flying canister. And what we can do with this character is actually use the A and S keys. I should mention that even though this is a platformer, I am using the keyboard controls, which work totally fine. I've not even tried using the gamepad controls. The keyboard controls work totally fine by default. Yeah, so by using this character, we can actually rearrange the panels. Now, what's difficult to get your mind around is that in a lot of games, you might do this to kind of like set up a platform, like, you know, if you think of something like Ectochrome, or, you know, any game where you like play with light and shadows. What was the one that came out last year? It was a 3D platformer. I've totally forgotten it. Contrast, that was it. You know, games where you kind of play with shadows and interact with shadows, or interact with the background in order to create kind of platforms that you can move on, I guess, and Yet It Moves is kind of similar to that. This isn't really like that, you know? Like, if we rearrange our platforms, it doesn't really matter. Like, we can't just platform to one that's adjacent to us. We still, like, the pathing is still exactly the same. We still go in the same direction. It just makes it easier to conceptualize, and in some cases, a lot more plausible to actually complete a puzzle. There are some puzzles that I believe you can only actually beat by doing that rotation, and we'll see some of those as we get a little further along. Since I've only done 15 levels and I've actually, you know, solved the puzzles before, this should not be a particularly long video, so we should be able to see a lot of stuff going along here. So, you know, one of the things you complain about, or one of the things you're wary about when you look at games that are ported from other systems, especially handhelds or, touchpad devices, is how do they handle? Where Is My Heart handles fine. It feels like a game that is basically built for the PC. I'm sure it handles fine on the other platforms that it's on as well, but, you have nothing to worry about with respect to controls or kind of interface here. It doesn't have, like, iOS-y type menus or something like that. It never tells you, like, swipe to change your character. So if you're the kind of person who's worried about that, and sometimes I am, you'll be fine here. So we collected 1 heart, and this is where they introduce kind of like the more intermediate level tactic for using this character. By jumping and then rotating, you almost kind of freeze time, and this allows you to adjust your position, and basically it's just a different style of platforming. Rather than trying to jump from area to area, which might be impossible, as a result of kind of rotating the panels underneath our character, we can get them to places they otherwise would not be able to go. So we hit this switch, and then our other characters should be able to just walk up here by going up this staircase. Again, if this is blowing your mind, trust me, that makes 2 of us. If it's not blowing your mind, congratulations, you are the smartest person on the internet. Here's your prize. You can't see it, but I'm doing the crotch chop DX style, WWE taunt. So that was Rainbow Spirit. Wall in the Meadow. Okay, Wall in the Meadow is where things start to get a little trickier with respect to the gimmick that I mentioned before. So we start and we have a platform over here. This is a platform that will create the kind of white spirit. I wish I knew the actual name. And I probably could if I actually looked at those loading screens for once. So what we have to do is get through this wall, because you can't really platform up here. Maybe we can jump up there. No, we can't. So we're basically closed in here, and we're closed in up against this wall, which is, corresponds to that platform that is on the directly to the left of us. So what we can do is jump and rotate, and then move ourselves over here, and this is actually really nice to get some kind of illumination on how the level is supposed to look, Like how it actually looks in physical space, because sometimes it's very difficult to conceptualize that. So now we're going to jump here, and we're going to try to rotate ourselves into where that heart is, and now that we got that, we'll just land back here. Sometimes you will die. I think that might impact the number of hearts you get on a level, because you take 1 heart away, basically, from the giving tree at the end by making that happen, but, just beating the levels is kind of the most important thing for me. So now we have to get on top of this thing, and I think the easiest way to do that is to just jump, and then... this doesn't really help us out here. I think what I have to do is jump, and then we're going to rotate that rainbow beneath us, and then as we're falling, we're going to rotate. No, that doesn't work. I did beat this before. This is not me, not doing my due diligence. It's just, seriously, like, again, to abuse the word as much as is humanly possible, it's mind-bending, man. It's tough. I wonder if... I just wonder if, I guess. There we go. So all we actually had to do... Let me explain what actually happened there, because it might seem a little bit confusing how I just conveniently came to the puzzle solution. So what I was thinking is basically what we have to do is get ourselves into that very top piece right now, and then gravity will just take us downwards. When you map it out like that, it actually seems a lot easier than just kind of like flipping and trying to let your brain figure out this like non-linear puzzling here. So we're going to rotate ourselves on top of that. And then gravity just takes us down exactly where we need to be, so we'll step on that switch. And then we can't actually rotate things back into the way that they're supposed to be, but I think I can just remember. Yeah, we'll just walk over here, and it might seem a little confusing, but all I'm really doing here is holding the right button down, and that is making it possible. So yeah, it's a game that, you get a real sense of satisfaction in those real eureka moments when you actually figure it out. Is it the best puzzle platformer of all time? I don't think so. For me, it lacks a little bit of the kind of envelope. Mechanically very, very novel, very fun, challenges your perception at a lot of opportunities, and it's got a cool aesthetic too. I like that it's minimalistic, kind of cute as well, and I like the visual style. I know a lot of people are going to be negative about it, and that's fine too. You're entitled to your opinion, but I think it looks great. But if you compare it to something like, and this is not to be too derisive, but if you compare it to something like Fez, which has obviously some huge elements of emerging gameplay, even though I know that game has made, a lot of people angry, then it does kind of lack that. There's no overarching story that's explicitly told, which isn't the end of the world at all. I'd rather have no story than a bad story, but it is worth pointing out that, none of that stuff is in there. And there might actually be a story that actually takes place that I'm just not experiencing because it's told so minimalistically, which is totally fine as well. So if you're coming into this expecting something that is, you know, perhaps life-sundering or life-changing, you're probably not going to find it. I need to get that other heart, but I don't know where it is. But if you're coming into it expecting a really excellent and kind of novel puzzle platform... Oh, I totally died, didn't I? If you come into it expecting a totally novel and fun and challenging puzzle platformer, I think you're going to find yourself having a real good time, because that's pretty much exactly what this game is, you know? You hit the nail on the head there. Are we not supposed to go up here? We're supposed to go over here, probably. Like this, and... Okay, there's our... I just had to get a bearing for where my character was in the environment there. And don't... Oh, I almost died, I think. Where am I now? Okay, so do it again. Platform up. The controls, by the way, are better than probably the majority of hardcore platformers I play in this day and age. So you have no concerns about, you know, the fidelity of controls versus jumping and stuff like that. Let's do Serpentine, and then maybe we'll consider calling it quits here, just because there's not necessarily that much more to say. Alright, so the way Serpentine works is basically, there's these portals on the level, and these portals carry us to other parts, and it's really like, I think this level is the game's way of being like, hey, don't get too comfortable, because I will seriously fuck with your mind as time goes on. That's such like a very basic way of talking about a game like this. Is like, yeah, dude, totally, like, it'll mess with you. But sincerely, that's how I felt. I missed a heart there. Sincerely, that's how I felt through a lot of, you know, my time playing this. Oh, I can go back and get it, maybe. Where am I? Is that just the exit here? Did I complete? I did complete the level. Okay. Let's do Flying Rocks, which is a little bit more complicated. But yeah, I find myself challenged by the game. In fact, you know, I passed it off to Nick too, and then about 15 minutes later I was like, this game's too hard for me, I can't do it. Now this level really messed me up for a little while, but I think we'll be able to do it. This is another level where it's our orange character is the crux for us, so we turn them into, you know, White Angel here, and then I don't think we want to jump. I think we want to explore just a little bit. There's one heart. Now, where'd this cloud go? There's a cloud, it's just leaving this one, and it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm assuming this jump to the right will probably kill us. Where do I appear here? Okay, so let's rearrange it a little bit, see if we can get, like, a better picture of how things go. Is this more realistic? This is how we started, is it not? Well, if I can get down to that tree, I'm just worried that I'll die. Let's come this way instead. You know, experimentation is important in this. Okay, so I did die, but I saw how it was supposed to work. And if this is the way the level's supposed to look, more or less, then all I have to do is get... Maybe we can rotate it just a little more. All I have to do is get in... Oh, that's the wrong button. Get in that tile that's directly above that one. Okay, okay, I think I've got a little bit of a lead here. Give me a second. Let's walk down here. Over here again. Is there any place where this lines up? I'm trying to... What I'm basically trying to do is line up... There's some elements that you can see that connect. I have dots. There's dots coming out of that platform to the right of me right now in this, like, right tile. Where do they go, though? Are there stars? Do they connect to anything in particular? Where there's no clouds coming for me right now? I jump and I can't see myself. Let's try to jump. Alright, I just died, so that is probably not the right way to handle that. What we can do, this is my go-to move when things become a little bit too tricky for me, is just jump and rotate immediately, and then try to land on a platform or something, which is exactly how this went down right here. And I guess I could probably exit, but I didn't really get very many hearts, so that doesn't feel like I've earned it, really, you know? So let's rotate a little bit more. Oh, there we go. So now we've actually made it to the switch, and we got a heart. And by hitting the switch, this will probably open up a lot of platforming elements here. The only question is now, how do we get to them? Because I am very confused about the whole situation. Alright, well, we can get one character to the exit. And then it's just a matter of figuring out how the heck we actually platform up here. Alright, so I see my character top right. Jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up, and we can get to the exit. Well, I'm missing a lot of hearts here, but you get the gist of it, I think. Just solving the puzzles... I died. Yeah, just solving the puzzles is enough of a challenge in a game like this for yours truly, at least. So we want to go top right, then middle, then the exact manual. Okay. So this is Where Is My Heart. It's going to be available on Steam May 29th. I actually don't know how much it's going to cost, but it was $6.99 on PSN, which means probably you're looking at, you know, maybe $6.99 or somewhere in the $5 to $10 range at the very least, I would expect. And yeah, I would recommend it if you're the kind of person that, you know, goes in with reasonable expectations of what to expect. Game's probably not going to change your life, but it is really novel, really nifty, and one of the more intriguing puzzle platformers I've played recently. And I've played a good deal of them recently. And I've had a lot of fun with it. Let's just put it that way. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope you enjoyed the game and the video. If you did enjoy the game and you want to pick it up, check out the link in the video description below to the Steam store page. You can pick it up for yourself if you're interested. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.